Nursing students and aspiring nurses. My name is Ben and I'm with registernursern.com. Let's face it, nursing school can get quite expensive, right? Some of you nursing students right now are probably getting hammered with tuition. And some of you who are thinking about going to nursing school may be thinking to yourself, I just don't know if I'm really going to be able to afford this. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you how you could save thousands of dollars in tuition. And not only that, you may be able to use some of these methods that I'm going to talk about to fund your entire college degree. So let's just get started. First of all, we're going to talk about financial aid. Financial aid is your first stop basically to apply for scholarships and so forth, because this is from the federal government, and basically all you have to do is you go to a website, FAFSA.ed.gov. It's FAFSA.ed.gov, and this is where you fill out the federal financial aid application. It's going to ask you all these obnoxious questions such as your income level, your assets, your parents' assets, and so forth, your bank account numbers, and all this stuff. But when you fill this application out, it's going to tell you how much aid you're eligible for. Now, it does go by your income, and they factor in a lot of things such as your household size and so forth to arrive at your expected family contribution, and that's going to tell you how much aid they would expect you to have. If your father's name is Bill Gates, the founder of Microsoft, I probably wouldn't waste my time with this, okay? But for the average person, filling out a financial aid application is going to be very useful, because even if you don't get approved for aid, it'll still tell you if you're eligible for a work-study program on campus, and it may show you some student loans that you may be eligible for and so forth. So this is the very first step you want to take, is to fill out the financial aid application. Fill it out as soon as possible, because it does go through a process and it does take time, and other people are applying, so you want to get in there as quickly as possible. The second method you could use to save money is scholarships. And there are literally hundreds and sometimes thousands of scholarships available for college students in general and nursing students specifically. And there are scholarships, for example, based on your minority status. So if you're of a rare ethnicity, you may be approved for a minority scholarship or have some other rare thing or something, that any kind of minority. If you are a part of a nursing membership site or a nursing like a HOSA program or something like that, they either may offer scholarships or they may be able to provide you with a list of scholarships available for that current year. So it always pays, because there's always new scholarships coming out and some are no longer available. So it always pays to look year by year, and sometimes even each semester, to go through and just see if anything new came up. Next, you got academic scholarships, and these are scholarships that may give you aid just for a certain level of a GPA, for example, or for some great accomplishment you've made in school. Of course, there are athletic scholarships, so if you've been a basketball player or football player, volleyball, or something like that, you may get approved for a scholarship for that. There are a lot of organizational-based scholarships, so local companies or churches or other organizations like that may put out scholarships for their members or their employees. So that's something. For example, a local hospital in our area puts out just a general scholarship for all college students if you meet their requirements. There's also some based on your financial need. Just like with financial aid, some applications for scholarships will ask you some of your income levels, and if you're below a certain threshold, you'll be approved. And there's a lot of college-based scholarships where alumni that have graduated may donate to a college and say, okay, we'll donate this much, and this is for scholarships this semester. And that's a great way to get scholarships. And lastly, there's state scholarships, and this is a great way. Some states offer, for example, lottery scholarships. Tennessee just rolled out a program where you can get your first 2 years of college, like a 2-year degree program at a technical school or something like that, for free. So you could potentially get an ADN degree for free if you don't have any other way in the state of Tennessee. Now, the best way to go about scholarships is, like I said, you always want to look at this each semester or each year, because new stuff will come out on the internet, or new organizations may donate and give a certain amount. And the best way to do this is, first and foremost, go to the university or nursing school you plan to attend and ask the financial aid office for a scholarship book, or look at the university's handbook. I know that a local university here, they will literally print pages upon pages in their handbook of just scholarships, general university scholarships and scholarships for specific degree programs like nursing. And you want to go through and just make a day or a week of it and just fill out those scholarships. You never know if you're going to be able to get accepted for some. Again, go to those nursing membership sites. nsna.org, discovernursing.com, I think has quite a few scholarships available. And go through those, make a list, and just fill those out. And again, look at your state and see what your state has available. And you can Google your state and then put scholarships or financial aid. And some states, in addition to this financial aid program, will put out their own program, and you can look and see what's available. So definitely check out scholarships. Okay, the third way you can save thousands on tuition is employer tuition programs. And if you can't get the free money here, that's a lot easier. This is the next best option. And you can maybe sometimes get this if you just work part-time or full-time or something like that. But what you want to do is you want to find an employer, probably a financially successful one like a local hospital or a local healthcare organization or something like that, and see if they offer paid tuition. And what they'll basically do is they'll agree to give you either partial tuition or full tuition if you get a certain degree, like for example an RN degree, and you have to they'll usually work up a contract and you'll have to work for them for say 2 years, 3 years. And basically once you graduate, and basically you'll graduate and you'll work for them, and then once your contract's up you can move to another employer if that's what you want to do. And this is a great way to not only get some of your tuition paid for, but it can give you some work experience, right? So you can put that on your resume, and when you're looking for another job later on, or if something doesn't work out here, at least you have the experience. And you can go in as a CNA and maybe work in that, or you can work as maybe a receptionist or with a diet team or just transport or something like that. But there's a lot of jobs in these healthcare facilities that you can do as an entry-level job and get your foot in the door, and then that way you can hit up the employer tuition program. So definitely keep that in mind. Now, if those don't work, you also have work-study programs. And I mentioned before that if you do the financial aid application, it'll usually tell you if there's a work-study program at your university and how much you may get approved for. And typically, these are just very simple campus jobs that don't require a lot of effort or skill or knowledge. My nephew worked, for example, with this program, and I can't remember how much exactly got. Usually they'll give you like $1,000 or $1,500 or something throughout, and that's throughout the whole semester. And basically all he had to do was check in equipment for cameras and so forth, and he would just literally sit in a facility, and students would come and check out equipment, and he would just write their name down. Like maybe 1 or 2 people would come a day, and the whole rest of the time he would sit there and study or listen to music, and that's all he had to do. So most of these jobs are fairly easy, just clerical type stuff, or you run around and take papers to different offices or something like that. It's fairly easy, and you definitely want to see if a work-study program is available. Next, if all else fails and you end up having to pay out of pocket for tuition, you still are going to save thousands through tax deductions. And tax deductions are a great way to save money on your tuition because there are several different ones, and depending on what your need is and whether or not you're working, you're going to be eligible for something here probably. The best one, hands down, is the American Opportunity Tax Credit. And this is for the first 4 years of college. It'll do up to 4 years, and you can get up to $2,500 back per year. And $1,000 of that, $2,500, could even be refundable back to you, even if you're not working and don't have to file a tax return. There are some stipulations and requirements to get that refund if you're not working, so you want to check out irs.gov to read some of those details. But the American Opportunity Tax Credit, you can get up to $2,500 back a year, and that can definitely take a chunk out of an ADN program or RN program. The second tax deduction that'll help you out is the Lifetime Learning Credit, and this one will give you up to $2,000 back. And the great thing about this one is, whereas the American Opportunity Tax Credit only did the first 4 years, so if you're doing a master's or a PhD program or something in nursing, you're not going to get that. The Lifetime Learning Credit, you can just keep taking and taking. The downside is it's not quite as much. You can only get up to $2,000 back a year. But again, you can take that almost unlimited throughout the years and just keep getting degrees, and you can get that back on your tax return. Another one is the tuition and fees deduction and the student loan interest deduction. Now, those first two were credits. Those last two are deductions. Deductions are not as powerful as credits because deductions only lower the amount of taxable income you'd have to pay, and it's usually not as much as if you just take a direct credit against your tax bill. So you can get up to $4,000 reduced from your income with the tuition and fees, or $2,500 with the student loan interest deduction if you do have a student loan. Excuse me. But definitely the first 2 credits there are the ones you want to check out first. And those are the 5 methods that you can use to save thousands on your tuition. I'll talk about a couple other things real briefly, just in case, in addition to this, you need a little more help. The first thing is, you don't always just have to go for the 4-year degree. It might be easier to do that for some people, but you could always start out and just get your ADN degree, 2-year degree. Even if you want to BSN, you could do the ADN, get your foot in the door, get hired as an RN somewhere, and then you could slowly take some BSN, like RN to BSN program online at a regionally accredited university, and you could earn that 4-year degree if that's the route you want to go. Again, one of the questions we get asked a lot on our site is the difference between ADN and BSN degrees, and you're an RN with either degree. This one takes 2 years, the BSN takes about 4 roughly. And you can earn a little more money with BSN in some industries, and over time, if you want to go to management, for example, a BSN degree, you'll probably be a little bit more favorable, but there are ADN managers out there. And not only that, but you'll need a BSN degree if you want to go on for graduate school. So if you want to get a master's in nursing or something like that. But you could always start low, get this degree first if you're struggling with finances, and then go back. And last but not least, I didn't even really want to mention it, but I'll just mention it. But student loans, there's always an option to get student loans. And again, when you fill out the FAFSA application, you may get a cheaper rate sometimes. Or a lot of places like credit cards, for example, will have student loan programs with interest rates that aren't quite as high. You can even use a credit card if you only have to pay for, say, a semester or something like that. A lot of credit card offers in this economy are like 0% for a year or 2 years. You could use a credit card for a semester or a year, have 0% interest until you graduate, then get a job and pay it off a little bit. You want to be careful with that because credit cards typically offer very high interest rates after that introductory period's over, but student loans and credit cards, it's another way you can finance. But even if you have to pay out of pocket, you definitely can at least get the tax deduction at a minimum in most cases. But all this other stuff, if you spend some time looking into these other methods to pay for nursing school, you can find out a way to pay. And another thing, the last thing I want to mention is that even if you get approved for financial aid or a scholarship or something like that, and let's say you don't get the full amount. Let's say your tuition is $4,000 and you only get $2,000, so you had to pay $2,000 out of your own pocket. Well, you can still deduct the amount you have to actually pay out of pocket. You can't deduct the amount that they paid on your behalf, but you can deduct the amount you end up having to pay out of pocket. So keep that in mind too, because that can really help out. So that's it. That's the way you can save thousands of dollars. I hope this video helps you out. If you like it, please give a thumbs up. And if you know anyone who's going to go into nursing school or anyone this would help, please feel free to share it. And thank you so much for watching and have a great day.